Okay, so in other news that happened today, Gavin Newsom is suing Fox News for defamation. Complete joke, but we'll show you the facts. Also, President Trump is cutting off trade talks with Canada. And what is the true status of the one big, beautiful bill? We're going to dive deep into everything and give you the bottom line.
California Governor Gavin Newsom accusing Fox News of defamation in a new lawsuit a short time ago. Newsom posted on X, quote, "No more lies. I'm suing Fox News for $787 million. Politico reports Newsom is suing after host Jesse Watters claimed that he lied about his phone calls with President Trump, who ordered National Guard troops to L.A. last month. Newsom's lawyer says they show misleadingly edited a video of Trump to support their claim. No word yet from Fox on the lawsuit.
All right, so let's understand the center of his claim here, or his lawsuit. Fox News created a false narrative to attack me politically. Now, last time I checked, if you attack someone politically, is that defamation? I'm not too sure. And if it is defamation, I would argue that President Trump might be owed a lot of money, because nobody's been attacked more politically than the current president of the United States. So I find that to be interesting. And more importantly, it's clear that the governor is doing this for attention. In some way, shape, or form, people are saying that he's taken a page out of President Trump's book. And the only issue I have with that is he doesn't exercise common sense. So in the end, this isn't really going to work for him. Now, he did put up this short video announcing his lawsuit. Take a look.
I just filed a lawsuit against Fox News for lies, for deceit, for misrepresentation. Enough of their lies. We'll see them in court.
For the people who've lived in California, especially when Gavin Newsom has been in charge, there's no surprise about this announcement, because this is who he is as an individual. It's about his ambitions over the job he was elected to do. Not my opinion, because that's what the results say. What are Gavin Newsom's results? A failed high-speed rail project, a Medicaid program that's going bankrupt because of illegal aliens. Men continue to play in women's sports, even though Title IX says they shouldn't. You've got more people moving away from California than any other state. The number 2 state, by the way, is Minnesota. I'm sure you know what Tim Walz and Gavin Newsom both have in common. So the fact remains, results say he is a failed, incompetent governor. He was almost recalled. But of course, when you needed the GOP, they were nowhere to be found. And that's where we are today. So as a result, I'm not shocked by this ruling. However, MSDNC, they're taking this and doing what they do best, which is continue to lie to their audience. Take a listen.
Gavin Newsom's lawyers are now arguing that he, quote, has become the latest target of Fox's continuing efforts to lie and distort on behalf of the president. And that, quote, Fox advanced this lie about Governor Newsom out of a desire to harm him politically. In a statement, Fox News says, quote, Governor Newsom's transparent publicity stunt is frivolous and designed to chill free speech critical of him. We will defend this case vigorously and look forward to it being dismissed. Newsom is suing Fox for $787 million, a very symbolic figure that Governor Newsom was clear to point out in his statement announcing the suit. Quote, if Fox News wants to lie to the American people on Donald Trump's behalf, it should face consequences, just like it did in the Dominion case. I believe the American people should be able to trust the information they receive from a major news outlet. Until Fox is willing to be truthful, I will keep fighting against their propaganda machine.
Okay, so the real question in this video is what? Does Gavin Newsom actually have a case? Can he really win this defamation lawsuit against Fox News? I think it's more likely that Fox News settled with Gavin Newsom than actually Gavin Newsom winning a trial against Fox News. Because let's be real, number one, he's a public figure. So in regards to criticism, if he's going to sue Fox News over what Jesse Watters says, he could sue me and so many other creators. And that's why the bar is so high for public figures like Gavin Newsom. That's number one. Number two, what communication documents proves that Jesse Watters knowingly lied about the governor? They're going to have to prove that as well. And that's why I say I don't believe he's going anywhere with this. Now, again, if you ask MSDNC, they say he has a case.
In Newsom's telling, in Newsom's lawsuit, what would he have to prove that Jesse Watters had malice toward him, Gavin Newsom?
that Waters knew it was false and he went ahead anyway, or he was reckless about it. So it is true by the time Waters says it that what he's saying is false. There was no call within a day, and he did do that little elision in editing, which has been the basis for defamation liability in the past. So he could Newsom, to say that's the lie, and obviously Waters knows what he's doing. But the basic idea is, you're lying when you call me a liar. You're misrepresenting, and because you know about it, you have liability. Oh, and $787 million, by the way, which is the magic number from Dominion.
Yeah, so just a couple of things. Number one, I think the people of California should be suing Governor Newsom because he has damages on his hands and what he's done to that state. Okay, that's number one. Number two, on this point of damages, what's the difference between Dominion voting machines and Gavin Newsom? Dominion Voting Machines is a company, and they could prove how financially they were impacted by the statements of Fox News. What proof does Gavin Newsom have that what Jesse Waters is saying is damaging his political career? No, he's damaged his own political career with the nonsense he's been doing as governor of California. And that's just the way that I see it. Now, let's take a look at Jesse Waters and the statement that Gavin Newsom says is defamation.
Trump's not waiting around this time. He says if it wasn't for him, LA would be up in smoke.
Called him up to tell him, got to do a better job. He's doing a bad job, causing a lot of death and a lot of potential death. If we didn't send out the National Guard, and last night we gave him a little additional help, you would have Los Angeles would be burning right now. The radical left, it's usually radical left, and it's usually governors that are Democrat, and they don't want to call them in. They don't want to save lives. They don't want to save property. They don't want to call them in. I don't know what it is.
Newsom responded, and he said there wasn't a phone call. He said Trump never called him. Not even a voicemail, he said. But John Roberts got Trump's call logs, and it shows Trump called him late Friday night, and they talked for 16 minutes. Why would Newsom lie and claim Trump never called him? Why would he do that?
Okay, so now we go to our next story, and that is President Trump posting this about Canada. We have just been informed that Canada, a very difficult country to trade with, including the fact that they have charged our farmers as much as 400% tariffs for years on dairy products, has just announced that they are putting a digital service tax on our American technology companies, which is a direct and blatant attack on our country. They are obviously copying the European Union, which has done the same, and is currently under discussion with us also. Based on this egregious tax, we are hereby terminating all discussions on trade with China, effective immediately. We will let Canada know the tariff that they will be paying to do business with the United States of America within the next 7-day period. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Now, while the president was in the Oval Office, the reporters tried to ask him about this, and let's just say it was bad timing. Take a listen.
Any questions?
Yes, sir. On the subject, sir.
Why not? Why not Canada, by the way?
Why?
I mean,
Because this is about a different subject right now. This is right now actually a much more important subject. We just ended a war that was going on for 30 years where 6 million people died, so don't ask me a trade question on Canada.
Now, here's the interesting thing. Democrats still want you to panic about Doge having access to your personal data. But let's be real, it's not the government you should be worried about. It's the professional hackers who have already stolen millions of identities and are weaponizing it. That's why I use Aura, a full security system for my digital life. VPN, credit monitoring, identity theft protection, and parental controls all in one. That's why when I signed up, I found my info, full name, email, even parts of my social security number already on the dark web. And Aura didn't just flag it, but they removed it. And that's why I've got 24/7 monitoring, fewer spam calls, and real-time alerts on my bank accounts. Whether you're trying to stay anonymous or just protect what's yours, Aura has your back. So just go to aura.com/Savory for a 14-day free trial and take back your digital freedom today. Yeah, now let's understand the context here. He just brokered a peace agreement between Rwanda and the Congo, and obviously that is the point of the meeting in the Oval Office there. And that was the first question that the press had to ask. But let's actually get to the matter at hand and understand what's really going on here. So Canada digital tax, what is it exactly? It is a 3% tax on digital services revenue from any firm who's doing business with Canadian users that are making $20 million in a year. So we're talking Meta, right? Their platforms, I'm sure X would be on that list. And it's retroactive to 2022. So clearly what Canada is doing was ill-advised. The White House had already recommended against them doing that, especially as they continue to try to work out some solid trade agreement. And so no shocker that President Trump responded in this way.
So Canada put a charge on some of our companies, and Canada's been a very difficult country to deal with over the years. We hear Canada, we have a great relationship with the people of Canada, but it's been very difficult. And they put a charge, and they were a little bit early, we found out about it. So, and we have all the cards. We have every single one. We don't want to do anything bad, but they have, economically, we have such power over Canada. I'd rather not use it, but they did something with our tech companies today, trying to copy Europe. They copied Europe. It's not going to work out well for Europe either. And it's not going to work out well for Canada. They were foolish to do it. And so I said, we're going to stop all negotiations with Canada right now until they straighten out their act. Okay? Is there anything Canada can do to change your mind about this situation? Well, no, they put a tax on companies that were American companies that they shouldn't, a very severe tax. And I guess they could remove it. They will, but it doesn't matter to me. We have all the cards. We have all the cards. We do a lot of business with Canada, but relatively little. They do most of their businesses with us. And when you have that circumstance, you treat people better.
And we've already discussed Canada so many times, so I don't think we really have to go into depth about what's going on here. I think they will continue to go back and forth until finally some of the pain truly starts to set in and we come to the table and get an agreement done. And listen, I'm rooting for the president. I want him to be successful with the tariffs. I want Canada to work with America in the right way. But as of right now, with this latest decision, doesn't seem like we're going in that direction. Now, let's go to our next story, and that is the big, beautiful bill. Because not just tariffs that are on the table for President Trump, it's his campaign promises. So the big question at this point is, what is the exact status?
It's interesting because even the president himself there in the briefing room today seemed to sound not as optimistic about getting this across the finish line by July 4th. He was saying, we're going to try to get this done, but it's not the end all. But then he went on True Social a short time later and said, they better have this at my desk. So this has to go through the Senate. And as you mentioned, Connell, you're going to see the senators really going and kicking into high speed to get this done and start the work on this tomorrow. So working through the weekend, taking off next week to get this done. Normally they would be going back to their districts on the week of July 4th, but they're likely going to be here working this through. It has to go back to the House. And then the president, in his latest True Social post, says the House of Representatives better have this on my desk by July 4th. So he's really trying to keep the pressure on. He's been meeting with senators all this week. We don't know exactly who has been in the White House, but he has been talking with them. And as you mentioned too, Connell, he canceled his planned trip to Bedminster, New Jersey to stay here. White House officials tell us that is because of the one big beautiful bill and how much he wants to get this passed by Independence Day, Connell.
All right. Okay, so clearly this bill has been one of the biggest challenges in front of this incompetent Congress because there's so many things wrapped into it, right? Now, I'm a firm believer in single subject bills. Like, why didn't we already just pass a bill strictly on taxes? I think that could have happened. And then we could have passed a bill strictly on border security and the funding, and then a bill on air traffic control systems. But it's all in one. I get it. I just wouldn't do it that way because Democrats, they can't help themselves. They're so caught up in what's going on with President Trump in their eyes that they can't even articulate what they plan to do in response to this bill. For example, what amendments are they truly offering up here? I want you to hear the way Chuck Schumer answers that particular question.
Can you preview in as much detail as possible the amendments that Democrats plan to?
Yeah, we're going to have amendments focused in 5 areas, not exclusively, but focused. One is the cuts to health care. The second is that it raises costs for Americans and at the same time loses lots of jobs. The third is how it gives huge tax cuts for billionaires. The fourth is corruption that the Trump administration's engaged in. And the fifth is the budget deficit. Not the budget deficit per se, as bad as that is, but it raises costs. It's going to raise your cost to buy a car, raise your cost to buy a home, raise your cost for a credit card.
Yeah, and the problem with Chuck Schumer, and particularly Democrats, and the argument they continue to try to make against the big, beautiful bill is that costs skyrocketed when they were in charge. So why would we believe what you're saying? Now, I'm not a dummy either. We know that things are going to continue to go up over the next 30 years. Let's be real. But the fact still remains, record inflation happened under Democrat control. Now, here is Scott Besson also explaining the importance of getting this bill across the finish line.
Look, the one big beautiful bill, it is the continuation of the 2017 Tax Cuts and Job Act. We're going to bring back full expensing, which is new, which is really going to provide great impetus to the economy. But it's also going to include President Trump's campaign promises of no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, reduced taxes on seniors, and deductibility of American-made cars. So, it's something in there for everyone. And also there's border security in there. We are going to fix the FAA. So, this is a tremendous bill, and I am confident that everyone working together, Leader Thune, Speaker Johnson, with President Trump's assistants, have been able to move narrow majorities forward, and I think we're going to be able to bring this home. The president will be signing the bill on July 4th.
Now, according to Scott Besson, they are close to solving the SALT dispute with Republicans because there's a lot of Republicans that don't support it, and there are some that do. And the fact of the matter is this: if Republicans cannot get their act together when they're in control, they might as well just give the midterms away, because they're starting to be more of a nuisance than Democrats are to getting this bill across the finish line. And you guys know how I feel about Congress in general. I think they all are literally incompetent, or at least the way that it operates leads me to believe that they are incompetent, because for the life of me, I don't understand how you could have a Republican majority and you still have not gotten much done. And the only person really doing anything, it's been President Trump and his cabinet. What has Congress been doing exactly? And they don't get the amount of heat that the president gets, clearly. Now, here is Senator Kennedy and what he had to say about getting this bill passed through.
They're trying to make everybody happy. It can't be done. We have cussed and discussed and rediscussed. We need to start voting. Everybody needs to adult real hard. And the jackassery has to stop. I have encouraged John and Mike to tell everyone, look, we're going to start voting tomorrow at noon. If you're not happy, offer an amendment. We'll have a full amendment process. But here's the bottom line. In any legislation of this magnitude, some people are just going to have to settle for a ham and egg sandwich without the ham. That's just the nature of the beast. And I think that if you put everybody to the test and say, look, this is why God made votes, it's time, vote, I think the bill will pass.
All right.
Well, we definitely hope that it passes so we can move on to bigger and better things and actually implement the agenda that the American people voted for. That's the end result here. And so we're going to see what happens over the weekend. I definitely will be following it and talking about it. But more importantly, I want to hear from you guys in the comment section as it relates to a couple of these stories. Let's start with Gavin Newsom suing Fox News. Do you believe he has a case? I really don't. I could be wrong, but I definitely want to hear from you guys on that. Secondly, this whole thing with Canada, I'm not surprised. They still don't want to play ball with President Trump. I think they've been the most difficult country to deal with as it pertains to putting a trade agreement together. And I don't know where we really go from here. I'm sure things will work out in the end, but what do you think about that? And then the one big, beautiful bill. Congress is finally working through the weekend. We know they love to take vacation. So what do you believe? Do you think that bill will be signed on July 4th or not? Let me know in the comments section and why. Okay, so earlier today, there was breaking news from the Supreme Court. We know that they ruled in favor of President Trump by finally clarifying that these lower court judges do not have the jurisdiction to issue universal injunctions against the president of the United States. But that's not even the story. It's what Justice Jackson had to say and how Amy Coney Barrett responded. So if you missed out on that story and more from earlier today, all you have to do is click on that video because it's coming up right now.